Through Mushroom-Head with special guest Half-Raised Heathens and Bittersweet Revenge. Who knows what they'll have in store? Caller 10, these 2 tickets are yours. Good luck. 216-578-1007 or 800-348-1007.
Pop quiz. How much crap can 270 minutes hold?
It may be crap, but we love it.
The Alan Cox Show.
On 100.7 WMMS.
35192. I want to send a text. I'm going to be talking to Vaden Lewis later on. You might know the name. He's a longtime frontman for the Toadies, who are in town tomorrow night, right around the corner. The Toadies are playing a show at the House of Blues with Reverend Horton Heat. And they are celebrating the 25th anniversary of their album Rubberneck, which is still a high watermark of the grunge era. Now, if you do the math, you'll realize that the 25th anniversary of Rubberneck was 2019. But things being what they are, they weren't able to really get out and do what they wanted to do. So they're going to play Rubberneck in its entirety, and the Toadies are dynamite. That's a band that's still, we'll play Possum Kingdom on MMS, and that song still gets a lot of action.
Great song.
But I always thought they were an underrated band. I thought they were from Austin, but I think they're actually from Dallas. Anyway, so Vaden Lewis will be on with me a little bit later on.
Dude, Reverend Horton Heat, they had that Psychobilly Freakout on Guitar Hero. The song is hard.
Sure.
Starts out, it's a Psychobilly Freakout.
Yeah. Love Reverend Horton Heat.
You're going to fail out immediately.
There you go. Right.
I think I'm going to listen to some Toadies on the way home today.
Yeah, why not?
I haven't listened to
I Come From the Water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good band. Saw them a long time ago. What else? Oh, I will have AFI tickets for you later on if you want to see them. In the next few days, a lot of good guests are going to be on. Mo Rocca, who you remember from The Daily Show. He does stuff for CBS now. He has a very funny podcast called Mobituaries.
Hey.
Talks about dead famous people. William Patrick Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins will join me, too. In the next few days, our friend Chris Frangiola is back in town tomorrow to do Hilarities, and he'll be in here.
Just listening to his podcast this morning a little bit.
Cover to cover.
Cover to cover with Chris Frangiola.
Yeah.
It's a catchy intro song.
We haven't seen him in a long... I haven't anyway. Maybe you've run into him. I haven't
run into him in a while.
A long time.
Last couple times he's been in town, I've been out of town. So I haven't seen him in a while, but I always like catching up with him when he's in town. And we talk from time to time on Instagram, and he's a buddy.
Funny dude.
Very funny. Very dry, and I love it.
Yes. So, and then next week, I'll just blow through these. Next week, I will have Blink 182 tickets for it. They announced a global world tour. You can win them with Rover, and you can win them with me. Blink is playing May 16th at the Romo Fijo with Turnstile. So you can win those all next week, and I'll have some other shows to hook you up with, too. Alan Cox Show After Hours line, anytime you want to leave us messages, you can do it there. It's 216-986-8903.
Hey, Alan, it's Scott in Brunswick. Heard you guys talking Browns on Monday. And I got to be honest, I didn't stop watching because of the whole Deshaun Watson scenario. I just stopped watching because the Browns suck. There are so many other things you can do with that, like 3-hour block on your Sunday, than watch the Browns snatch defeat from the jaws of victory every afternoon. I mean, granted, they win every once in a while, and maybe I'll watch them if they make the playoffs, but the fact that a lot of people allow themselves and their emotions to be held hostage by this terrible excuse for a football team every Sunday, it just boggles my mind. To be honest, I am kind of envious of that level of commitment, but I'm only 24 years old and I have to watch out for my heart, so I don't think I see any Browns for me in my future. If we continue playing like we've been playing since basically my entire life. Either way, hate the show. Just wanted to add.
There you go. There's another county heard from on the subject of your Cleveland Browns, who are at home this Sunday, right after the Cox Out pregame at the Ivy with Bud Light.
I do love the term snatching
victory
Defeat
from the jaws of victory.
Well, listen, Bill is a Chargers fan. I was actually thinking about this the other night because I am not in as historically bad of a position as a Bears fan as Browns fans are. We have a Super Bowl under our belt. We went to another Super Bowl 15 years ago. So there's a certain degree of victory there. But we're usually not a great team. And I was, because we kind of got into this the other day about just picking another team. There's such a liberation in that. You go, from now on, I pick one. I'm a Jets fan. From now on, I'm a Jets
another
fan.
one.
Yeah,
But you know what I mean? Like,
No,
you just pick one.
There is something liberating about it, and it also, it's sports. I'm not an athlete. I'm not on these teams.
You're not.
It's fun. It's just
Come
fun.
on, what's with all the jerseys then?
No, a boy can dream.
Yeah.
I'm still a heavy hitter.
I heard from Carrie, who for a long time has been our bureau chief in Cave Creek, Arizona.
Can you explain real quick what a bureau chief is? Because there's some people on the live stream asking about that.
A bureau chief is just my term for people who listen to the show but have to do it on the app because they're in another state. There are people who live in the far-flung corners of Ohio who have to listen to that. Because I have people come up to me like at an appearance. They'll be like, hey, can I be a bureau chief of Fairview Park? And I go, if you can listen to MMS in what we call the ADI, that's not bureau chief. It's people who listen to the show from out of state on the app.
An appearance today, there was a little girl that came up to me with her mom, and her mom told me that she's a big fan of the Get Down, and she likes doing the galaga, galaga, galagas.
Right. It wasn't Mary Santora from the past, was it?
No.
No, it was a cute
Promise.
kid.
Hey.
Oh, God. Anyway, I heard from Carrie. She's our bureau chief in Cave Creek, Arizona, and she was writing to, and I like when people do this, even though they're under no obligation, to relocate. She is now another bureau chief in Richmond, Virginia. So she's moved across the country to Richmond, Virginia. You also tell Bill, Carrie says, that I support his decision to no longer be a booster for the Browns. I, too, severed ties with him, and I picked a new team. After watching Malik Willis during the Combine, do you know where he is?
I don't know.
I decided to make the Tennessee Titans my new team.
Was he the guy that was running the 40-yard dash, and he tripped and his D fell out of his shorts?
Fell out?
Oh, maybe that's why.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Look up that video.
I thought she was just really into guys doing well at the Combine. But so he pulled a Lenny Kravitz.
Well, I don't
then.
know if that was him.
Okay. Well, somebody Google Malik Willis Combine penis and see if that's what.
Combine.
As Bill would say, do better. And also, Carrie concludes her letter with a little thing for Poundcake.
It was Chris Jones that did that.
Well, then maybe she was judging Malik Willis just on his sports abilities alone and not his knee shooter. If you're wearing those pants, how does anything fall out? Aren't you laced up and you're in there, or are they just practicing in sweatpants and stuff?
I mean, he's wearing like a pair of shorts, and they're like tight shorts. It's weird that it would happen.
But is he a good football? Who's he play for?
I don't even know if he made it. But this was a few years ago.
That was the most attention he got.
Yeah.
Not for his work on the field.
Yeah. Hold on.
Carrie says, Poundcake, I've had psoriasis my entire life. The healthier and cleaner you eat, less flare-ups you'll have. It's an easy thing to manage without medication. I'll look into the anti-inflammatory diet. Every time we talk about Poundcake psoriasis, he said, I can't get tattoos because of psoriasis. And then all these people flood me with messages that there are psoriasis sufferers who get tattoos specifically to hide their psoriasis scars.
I didn't say I couldn't get tattoos, and psoriasis scars are not the same as having psoriasis.
How do you get psoriasis scars without psoriasis?
I'm saying you have it, but it's not a flare-up right now. So they're doing it over a place where you used to have a flare-up. So it could come back to that spot, and you've already
I see what you mean.
driven ink and a needle through it. So
I
it's
guess
not
I didn't.
the best idea.
I have to.
you can.
I have to claim ignorance on this as often as you've talked about it. I guess I didn't realize that it was something that flares up.
Yes,
like the
herpes.
herp.
Yeah.
I thought, is it like that? It's like a bacterial thing or something.
Exactly the same.
Okay.
Well, it's an autoimmune disease. So I mean,
that much I know, but I guess I thought it was something that like
there's things that can trigger it. Mine, like I have consistent psoriasis on my shins. That's where I have it the most. It doesn't really go away. There's times where it's like better, where it's like it just looks like a birthmark almost.
That's why he hates the Garden State soundtrack.
And then there's times where it looks like I like was like hanging on the back of a truck going down the street. So my shins are always kind of look like weird. I'm serious.
I know, it's just it paints a picture.
He got dragged like who's the dude in The Boys? Who's the A-Train drags that other guy behind him on the road?
But there's other parts of my body where it will just be. It'll just pop up one day, and it'll look like.
And you have no warning. You don't feel like a weird way, and then you go, "Oh, here comes." You know, like when girls get
No, you
they
can't
get premenstrual syndrome. They don't go, I'm going to get my period.
No,
I
know.
Get my psoriasis.
Yeah.
I can tell where it doesn't. I don't feel anything, but I can tell where I'm getting a spot because I can see it. Like there's like a dark shadow, and then within a day or two, it'll start to rise. Like the cells there will start to rise, the skin cells, and it'll just look like almost like a small little ringworm or something. That's what I originally thought it was. I thought it was like, ugh, Mom, I'm calling child services. You got me sleeping in a nasty ass bed. Like, I immediately go to the defense. I'm like, what is this? So I go to the doctor, and they're like, oh, it's just eczema. It's just dry skin. I'm like, okay. So I had creams like most of my life, and I was just like, okay, it would just pop up in one spot, put the cream on it, it would go away. And then it just would like pop up all over, and it wouldn't go away. The cream, it built up like an immunity, and it just wouldn't go away. So then they're like, oh, this is psoriasis. I'm like, well, what is psoriasis? And then I got into that. And the thing is, I think I teased a girl in school who had psirosis because I didn't understand what it was.
Of
That's
course
why you got
did.
it.
Of course
That's
you did.
exactly why I got it.
Karma.
I didn't understand. I thought it was like this bitch had infinite chicken pox. I was like, why?
Infinite chicken pox. I think they're on that Toadies show.
Because she would like have them along her breast line. And I was like,
Yeah.
what's that? I point and like, what's that?
Is there anybody you just left alone?
Not one person.
no.
That's why his life
As
is
a
the way that it is.
Did you ever not make a comment to someone? Just let them go about their day.
I knew her really well, so I felt like I could do that.
I knew her so well, I felt it was my duty to make fun of her. So I'm watching this Chris Jones combine thing. So you don't see his D. He just tucks it back in when he falls.
Yeah, so
But he
like
skids, so he had to have dragged that along the turf.
So the reason he
They got turf tip.
if you watch it like the Zapruder films, it's basically you see his sack come out.
Oh, you do? I can't
Yeah.
even see that because he's wearing like bike shorts.
Right, and it comes out like I feel like it comes out the bottom. It's weird.
That is weird.
I found it on Daily Motion. They have a little bit more.
But I can't show it on the live
No,
stream.
no.
Okay, because I guess I couldn't see where anything. I just see him lay down and tuck something back in. But okay, well there you go.
I think
Chris Jones.
If you look for it on Twitter, they probably have an uncensored version of it. If that's really something you need to see today.
Right.
Yeah, it looks like it comes out the bottom. It's weird, but I guess he was going pretty fast.
Alan, a real fan doesn't just ditch their team; they take the bad with the good. Jesus Christ, a little loyalty, maybe.
No.
Yeah, but human beings also have their limit,
Mm-hmm.
and blind loyalty. Even though I know there are a lot of people who think that's somehow a virtue, is not, and so certainly not when it comes to sports. I mean, there are a lot of things you might not have. You might have maybe an emotional interest in or something. But sports is something that you give your money to. Like if you paid for a ticket to see a band and they stunk, you might go see them again. Maybe they had a bad night. But if they stunk every time you saw them, you go, I'm not going to see that band anymore. $50 a
listen,
ticket? I'm not going to see those guys anymore.
I would still root for the Browns if they were bad. Being bad is not why I'm not rooting for them.
It's Deshaun Watson.
It's Deshaun Watson. It's going and getting Deshaun Watson and then paying him $230 million and completely disregarding all those women's stories about him. And then they do the investigation and they say, yes, he was doing these things. I can't support that. I
Right.
can't just look the other way and go, well, as long as they're winning football games, who cares what he does? That's not who I am.
Right.
If you're that kind of person, I've said it before. I don't go ahead. but I can't just cheer for a guy that was sexually assaulting and doing sexual misconduct with like 30 women.
Perhaps
it just doesn't. I can't do it.
Perhaps your loyalty should be to human decency. Maybe that would be a good thing to be loyal to.
And for the first time in my life, it is.
Hey, he did it.
Look at him growing up.
Alan, I was born in L.A. but raised here. The Chargers were an easy choice after the Watson drama. Well, you go Rams too. But, used to be San Diego Chargers, L.A. Rams. Now, Chargers said, you know what? We don't need that fan base anymore. We'll go up the coast and hunker down in L.A. You could be a Rams fan. When I was a kid, the only other team I cared about were the Rams. I was a Bears fan by birth, but actually by birth, I guess I would have been a Redskins fan. But
well, where you were raised, though.
Yeah, that's correct.
Because you were only in Virginia for a little bit, right?
Little bit. Yep, about a year. So there's that whole thing. I think, by the way, no one argues if you have the hot take that gender reveal parties have gotten out of hand.
We said that years ago.
What?
We said that years ago.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they haven't gotten any more reasonable. I was reading about a couple in Brazil who are
more global.
Yeah, a couple in Brazil who got fined like $10,000 because they dyed a waterfall blue for their gender reveal, and in the process, it was an active waterway. So they were tainting the local water supply for their gender reveal party. And then, see, now you don't even they've gotten so stupid, you don't even have to be pregnant to have one. Because I was reading about this other woman who just found out that she thought she goes to the doctor because she just thinks she's like super overweight. Well, it turns out that she is, but she also has a giant ovarian mass in her, and she's going to have it taken out. But before that, they do basically a whole gender reveal party for her ovarian mass.
Excuse me.
A mass party is what they had.
You're going to have a little sister.
Yes.
Yes. That's what they did. And she's like, they had a cake and they had all kinds of stuff.
Instead of throwing an it's a boy or it's a girl party, my sister threw me it's a mass party. An ovarian mass, that is. We played many games such as guess the size of my belly and how much the mass weighs, and many prizes were given out. As part of our humor, my whole family wore different shades of blood, and we even cut cake like a birthday.
As part of the
Different shades
humor,
of blood?
What humor? Oh, some LA TikToker. She's like, yeah, if we had a mass party, and I mean, listen.
Some people just like throwing parties.
Well, also, if social media didn't exist, this would not be a thing. But none of these things would be things. But yeah, she had a gender reveal party for her ovarian mass, which sounds like a great Swedish goth band, but I don't think that it is.
I have a headache.
It might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor. It's not a tumor at all.
At all. It's not a tumor at all. So anyway, congratulations to her for not being pregnant and instead just having a giant, giant mass in her body. 15 pounds.
Dang.
In her stomach. I'm not sure how it's an ovarian mass in her stomach. I guess it just pushed into her stomach.
If it's on the side of the ovary, they're
Yeah.
like right next to each other.
Yeah. So anyway, but boy, imagine having fun and decorations, and what's going to make you feel more like eating a cake that looks like a giant tumor than that. Yummy. I've got a break. If you want to get a text for something, 35192 to get me there. AlanCoxShow.com. That's where you can watch. And you can listen wherever you are on that iHeartRadio app.
The Alan Cox Show on 100.7
WMMS.